unjustly convicted. And that was a huge hit to the prison industry, to the prisons for profit industry, which is one of the reasons I am convinced that we are seeing what's happening at the border now, because those prisons still got to get filled so their stockholders can get paid.
Yeah.
Right.
And folks like our Attorney General, Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III, who is hell-bent on filling those prisons, ideally with folks who are of a darker shade than I may be. And how do you know this? How is this apparent? How do we, is this more liberal hooey, more extrapolation? I don't know. I don't think it is, because Sessions is on record as saying that he thought the Klan were all right until he found out they smoked weed.
Oh,
That's crazy.
Yes,
Right.
it is. It's absolutely insane.
Well-
And I, obviously anyone who listens to this show or knows me personally knows that I am an advocate for legalizing marijuana. But here's a fun little fact that a lot of people seemingly don't know. You can be anti-drug and also hate the Klan.
Mm-hmm.
You do not have to accept the Klan because you think, only bad people smoke weed. It's really disturbing. One of the things that I think, we talk about, the decimation of our economy and civil and social rights. Well, this week, Justice Kennedy announced that he was resigning at the end of the term. And even though he was a conservative, and people like to paint him as, the
Right.
semi-liberal swing voter, you look at how he voted with
still
all of the
pretty
decisions.
conservative, yeah.
Oh, no, he was very conservative. He did not side with the liberals once in this session of the court. And one of the things that a lot of people worry about, because the two things that I will give Kennedy props for is that he did side with the left on legalizing gay marriage, and he did sign on with the left in terms of defending Roe versus Wade. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are rightfully concerned that giving Trump another Supreme Court justice is basically going to mean the end of legal abortion in America, in most of America, because they are going to throw it to the states who are batshit crazy in a lot of the flyover country where I originally come from.
Right.
I have not always been a California liberal.
Right.
I grew up in the Midwest. I lived in Missouri for 8 years. Granted, in the educated part, so maybe that doesn't count to them real Americans down in Springfield or up in Maryville, where the Christian colleges are, where the Maranatha Baptists come from. I wasn't from real Missouri, but I lived among them. I understand the concerns of the Midwest. That is in my blood. I may be a city boy.
Right.
I may have lived in the educated part of Missouri, but I understand because I was surrounded by these people. I am friends with, I don't think any of my friends back in Missouri are ignorant enough to support Trump.
Right.
But I understand, a lot of folks on that side like to say liberals don't understand. They don't listen. You know what? I understand. Right. I listen. I lived in that. I got friends who hunt, who are real Midwesterners, people of the land.
Right.
I understand that, there are problems with the economy, but you can't be dumb enough to believe all this crap that, it's all the liberals' fault. So here's an idea, because, we do like to be constructive. We do like to enlighten our audience. So a little money-making idea, and if anyone wants to go in on this with me, I think it's great. But as long as Ireland, a staunchly Catholic nation, just legalized abortion this year. So I say let's start a travel agency that specializes in travel to Ireland. Let's get together, with the Irish Tourism Council. I'm sure they'll throw us some bucks.
I hope it doesn't come to this, David, but
me
I know
neither.
what you're talking
but,
about.
It's so many of my friends and so many other people that I know through social media have been talking about how much scarier it gets every day to watch The Handmaid's Tale.
Right. That's what I hear over and over again.
And that's the thing. Used to be that folks thought, oh God, our dystopian future is Idiocracy. And that was kind of funny because it's a funny movie, and it's funny to say that people are getting dumber without really thinking about the consequences
of that.
But not so funny
now, is it, David?
But as the future is starting to look more and more like The Handmaid's Tale than Idiocracy, it's kind of disturbing. So the Supreme Court handed down a few decisions this week. One of them being that, and this is one of those things. I am not a legal scholar. I did not go to law school, but I have studied the law a bit. I have friends who are lawyers, so I talked. I have friends who are activists. I am informed on the topics at hand regarding the law. And one of the rulings that the Supreme Court handed down this week said that crisis pregnancy centers, so-called crisis pregnancy centers, which are basically anti-choice religious centers that mislead pregnant women into thinking that they will be offered a plethora of options to consider, even though it's just, no, you're hanging on to the baby. They are allowed to lie about what they're doing now. The Supreme Court struck down basically a law that covered truth in advertising, saying that these people need to tell potential clients what they're actually doing. So I would love to see Philip Morris or Atria or whatever they're calling themselves. Let's see Big Tobacco start advertising the health benefits of cigarettes again. You know, I want to see doctors on TV. I want to see doctors in print ads in magazines with a lucky hanging out of their mouth saying that toasting the tobacco makes it healthier for you because you don't cough as much. And we're doctors. We can say that. Right. Because if, you know, healthcare providers, finger right. quotes, heavily intended, who are informing women of their choices when they have an unwanted pregnancy are allowed to lie to them, let's let all the doctors lie. You know, I do have some liberal friends who are pointing out that this may actually kind of be a victory because now maybe doctors will not have to, you know, actual doctors will not have to do unnecessary procedures and read these medically uninformed scripts about the potential hazards of an abortion, which are completely untrue, but they're state mandated because the voters spoke.
Well, my thing has always been, you keep saying you don't want women to have an abortion. So who's going to take care of the kid? Okay, you keep saying you don't want welfare, you don't want people, you know, we don't want welfare, we don't want you doing that. But who's going to take care of the kid? You're so worried about Lord and Jesus and God and all this shit and, oh, they're going to hate us and we don't want an abortion, it's dangerous, it's this, it's that. Who is going to take care of all these children that you keep wanting me to keep, right? You know why they want to keep it? Because it's good business. Did you hear about the three, how they used to do these experiments? They take
the triplets.
The triplets. They took them, separated them, knew that they were triplets.
Identical triplets.
Identical
also.
triplets.
That's kind of key.
And two of them, one was raised in a rich home, one was raised in a middle class home, one was raised in a blue collar kind of, you know, hard working home, to where they were doing a thing, and they were within 100-mile radius of each other, and you know they wanted, the doctor who was doing the experiment wanted to see how they would survive without being around their family, which goes with this immigration thing, you know. And when they talked to them, when you know, two of them went to the same college, and they said, "Hey, man, welcome back." What are you talking about? Said, "Hey, welcome back." We just, you know, yeah, man, it's good to have you. Glad you came back, bro. I mean, that's how they look exactly alike, and
that's how identical triplets work.
Yeah, you know, and it's sitting there going, "No, I was," you know. He says, "It's great for them to say this, but I wasn't here." And they said, "Yeah, you were just here." And that's when he said, "No." And they showed different pictures, and they always knew within them that they were connected to someone. They knew that they had a brother or something. They said, "Man, I don't believe I'm alone." And the guys, now that they're adults, they're pissed because they were a part of a test that this psycho. I mean, I understand what the doctor was trying to do, but dude, you can't separate families like that. And back then, in the 60s, you could. They did these type of, I mean, the shit, that shit wouldn't be allowed today, you know, but they separate these guys. And they were so pissed that 18 years went by. You had a brother down the street. But you couldn't see him. And you didn't know it. And that's why they keep them together. That's why they're telling you the damage of what he's doing to these children just in a short period. That abandonment gets in the head. What he's doing to these Hispanic kids.
This is psychological trauma. This is damage.
Right. Yeah. Who's to say that these kids don't grow up to want to kill his
they're
ass.
Very.
Who's to say a guy? Yeah, I mean, right now Do you know that they're not allowed to touch them?
Yeah, I know
the baby
that.
is the baby. They said there was a baby.
Babies need to be touched. Babies need to be held.
That baby was there was a little girl. All these kids, they had toys, everything. One little girl crying, screaming her head off, and they were trying to give her things, but couldn't. They said, but they couldn't pick her up because that's what she needed. She needed to be, but couldn't touch her. Don't touch her.
She needs to be with her family.
I'm guessing that's how Donald Trump's children were raised, and they turned out just fine. Oh, wait, no, they didn't. Speaking of children, because we kind of want to end on a high note, new Drake album dropped this week, and he's been involved in a, as the kids call it, a rap beef with, is it Pusha T? That they've been going back and forth, and I guess Pusha T revealed on one of his recent diss tracks that Drake had a kid with a porn star and was hiding the child. I guess not in a prison camp, so he didn't do it right. So Drake had to put out a whole new confessional album explaining why he does what he does. Actually, this isn't a high note. This is just even more depressing.
I know. And then Drake came out with his song that said something like, I'm not, it's not the same as Billie Jean. That is my kid and stuff. Yeah. And he was trying to hide the kid from the world, not actually try to hide the world from the kid instead of the other way around.
Right.
Yeah. Because, look what's going on, I guess,
Yeah.
To me, and someone, said to me, well, if you had a kid, what would you do in this situation? I said, to me, today, one of the biggest things, you really have to work on your kids' self-esteem and self-confidence. And you do have to, structure is key. You really have to structure them. You still have to and allow them to grow and to have an imagination, to play. You just can't keep handing them a thing. So
what do y'all think about Drake hiding his kid?
Who's he hiding it from?
The mother is a porn star. Yeah.
Right, but
shit.
Yeah, that doesn't. The porn star is just a job. Honestly, it's granted that, there are issues with the industry and the way that performers are treated. But
Nevada just voted a damn the pimp.
Oh, the pimp who owns the Bunny Ranch.
Yeah, they just voted
ran
him
as
in.
a Republican.
He's a Republican.
Family values again.
And so, I told you, that this is what they do. What about your so-called Christian values? You just put a guy who's a pimp, all right? And he pays his women well. Yeah. Yes, he does. But guess what? He's now, was he Senate or Congress? What are you getting to? Is he a senator?
I believe he's running for Senate. Yeah.
There was someone that was running that was a pedophile too. You heard about that, right?
Oh yeah,
a Nazi.
That guy was on the East Coast.
And a Nazi. I thought the Nazi guy won.
The Nazi guy won the primary, but the Republican Party has stopped backing him.
Wow.
Can you believe
we're talking about this in 2018?
Yeah, well, it's,
history
it's all this,
itself.
Forget porn star, forget rapper. I understand why Drake would want to hide his child.
Yeah, I understand why he would
but
too.
You know what the killer part is? Did you see that they put in a bill, the lynching bill, to stop them from lynching people? Booker and what's her name? Kamala Harris. Yes, they put out a bill that they were trying to pass because they're lynching kids.
Yeah,
they're trying to bring back. Dudes are trying to, and so they just put this out. So if you're talking about history repeating itself, that's why I used to get mad at guys talking about, whoa, we gotta fight for our country in Vietnam. Brothers came home and were lynched in their uniforms. Yeah. The German prisoner got better treatment than a black soldier. Mm-hmm. Fighting for his country. And he was fighting two wars. Not only was he fighting the war over here, then he come back home, he's got to fight another war. So, hey, that's why Frederick Douglass said, fuck you guys. Why am I fighting for
Frederick Douglass said, fuck you guys?
Yes, right. He said, fuck.
I want to read that speech.
Yeah, well, he said, basically, that's what he says, because you want me to fight for a country that doesn't consider me to be even be human.
Right, and that was his 4th of July speech.
Yes,
I think,
it sure
too.
was.
That's right.
It sure was.
Bringing it back to 4th of July. There you go.
That's how you used to take a knee back in the day. Mm-hmm. And one other thing, because we do have to wrap things up, but one final thought I had on the whole abortion issue is that a lot of states are